Why would one of the greatest filmmakers in history refuse to attend the Oscars after winning one of cinema's biggest awards? And what if I told you the answer might be hidden inside a giant moving castle? Because behind the beauty of Howl's moving castle, the magic, the romance and the breathtaking animation, lies something much darker. A story shaped by war. A real war. One so controversial that its creator, Hayao Miyazaki, quietly refused to visit America. And somehow, most people completely miss the message. When people think of Howl's moving castle, they think of fantasy. A magical castle walking across empty landscapes, a mysterious wizard and a beautiful love story. But if you look closer, the movie feels strangely sad, almost angry. And there's a reason for that. To understand why, we first need to understand Miyazaki himself. Because Miyazaki didn't just grow up loving fantasy. He grew up surrounded by the memories of war. His father worked in a company that made airplane parts during World War II, and that explains something strange. Miyazaki loves flying machines. You see them in almost every film. They look beautiful, dreamlike, but they almost always bring destruction. And nowhere is that clearer than in Howl's moving castle. The story begins with Sophie, a quiet young woman working in a hat shop. She feels invisible, unimportant, like life is already passing her by. Then one day, she meets Howl, a mysterious wizard, feared by almost everyone. Some people say he steals hearts, and strangely, they're kind of right, because Howl literally gave his heart away. But before Sophie can understand him, she's cursed by the Witch of the Waste and transforms into an old woman overnight. And this is where the movie quietly becomes brilliant, because Sophie's curse behaves strangely. When she feels insecure, she looks older, but during emotional moments when she feels brave or loved, you briefly see her younger self return. Many fans believe Miyazaki made the curse symbolic, almost like insecurity made visible. And suddenly, Howl's moving castle feels less like fantasy and more like psychology. With nowhere else to go, Sophie finds something impossible, a giant moving castle. Rusty, broken, barely holding itself together, and inside leaves Calcifer, a fire demon trapped in a magical contract. Fun fact, Studio Ghibli spent huge effort animating Calcifer by hand to make fire feel alive, and somehow, even today, he feels more expressive than some modern animated characters. But while Sophie and Howl grow closer, something darker happens in the background. A war slowly destroys the kingdom. Cities burn, flying battleships fill the sky. Innocent people suffer, and strangely, no one fully explains why the war even started. There's no clear hero, no obvious villain, just destruction. And that wasn't accidental. When Miyazaki made this movie, the Iraq War had just begun. In 2003, America invaded Iraq and Miyazaki hated what he was seeing. He later admitted he felt anger over the invasion, but instead of giving speeches, he turned that frustration into art. Suddenly, the pointless war in the movie makes sense. It feels confusing, because real wars often are. And notice something important about Howl. He refuses to become a weapon. He fights only to protect people. But every time he enters battle, he slowly becomes less human, more monster than man. And maybe that was Miyazaki's darkest message. War changes people, even good people. But then comes the strangest real-life twist. In 2003, Miyazaki's other film, Spirited Away, won the Oscar for Best Animated Feature. A dream moment. The world expected him to appear in America, but he never came. For years, people wondered why. Then Miyazaki finally explained it. He didn't want to visit a country bombing Iraq. No drama. No public speech, just silence, a quiet protest. And suddenly, Howl's Moving Castle feels completely different. One final interesting fact: the movie was based on a novel by Diana Wynne Jones. But Miyazaki changed huge parts of the story. The anti-war message? That mostly came from him. He transformed a fantasy novel into something deeply personal. So maybe Howl's Moving Castle was never just a fantasy movie. Maybe it was Miyazaki quietly asking one question: why do humans keep repeating war? And maybe that question matters now more than ever.